Kellyanne Conway is a former top advisor to Donald Trump, and Jose Aristimuno is a former DNC deputy press secretary. Welcome to you both. Kellyanne, polling is your area of expertise. It suggests a gender gap with Trump trailing among women voters. Does he need to close that gap to win? Can he? And is it, in your judgment, a policy gap or a personality gap?
Trey, first of all, thanks for having me. Nice to be with you tonight. The fact is that the gender gap has been a challenge for Republican candidates among women for many decades. My first job, $8 an hour, was for Dick Worthland. He was Ronald Reagan's pollster. My one assignment was the gender gap when I got there. So this has gone on for a while, but with Donald Trump, there are two gender gaps now. And it's Kamala Harris and the Democrats' problem with men. The brand new New York Times Siena poll out today shows that Donald Trump is leading Harris by 16 points among men, and she's leading him among women by 11 points. 11 points is the exact margin by which Donald Trump lost to Hillary Clinton among women, and Mitt Romney lost to Barack Obama 4 years earlier among women. So Donald Trump's going to run up the totals among certain cohorts of women and certainly among men. Kamala Harris has a very difficult time attracting male voters to her flip-flopping, to her radical agenda, to her lack of assuring them that they will be more prosperous, there will be more opportunities, will all be more secure under a Harris administration, 4 more years of the Harris administration, since that's what we have. But the gender gap is too much being talked about with respect to abortion because we women, like every voting cohort, are not monolithic. I like to think from my waist up, not just my waist down, which is where the Democrats are trying to appeal to me, because after all, above my waist are where my eyes, my ears, my heart, my brain, and my big mouth are. And so if President Trump continues to talk about everyday affordability, border security, security in our neighborhood, no new wars abroad, Iran not on the march, threatening nuclear devastation and hurting our allies in the Middle East and elsewhere, bloodshed in Ukraine, bloodshed in Israel. And last point, women care about fairness. So Kamala Harris talks about equity, equity, equity. Women talk about fairness. They don't think plumbers and pipe fitters should pay for the student loans of doctors and lawyers. They don't think men should be in their girls' sports. They don't think that 10 million illegals coming here on Harris's watch is fair. They see them on the television getting cash and cell phones and clothing and hotel rooms, and they say that's not fair.
Jose, Kamala Harris is not the first person to move towards the center in a general election, although I think it's a longer run for her than most. Does she still want fewer cops, no ICE, no border wall, no fracking, and death row inmates to vote?
Look, it's a great question. There's no question that every candidate, Republican or Democrat, they go towards the center when it comes to a general election. I think that the debate coming up on Tuesday will give us a good grasp and a vision of both candidates. I think first and foremost, we had to talk about the way that she's been able to re-energize the party, right? I mean, we know that Joe Biden had a horrible debate a couple months ago. Kamala Harris has been able to raise an amount of money almost triple than what Donald Trump raised in August. So that's definitely a good sign. The sizes of the crowds when you go to these rallies are big. Now, that's all beautiful, but the reality of this is this race is going to be won when it comes to the Electoral College. And me as a Democrat, let me tell you, I hope Kamala Harris learns the lesson that Hillary Clinton didn't learn in 2016. Every poll in America, you got to be careful when you read into these polls because, yeah, it's going to be a close election, but every poll in America in 2016 said that Hillary Clinton was going to be president, and clearly she wasn't. So I hope Kamala Harris learned the lesson. I'm not too worried about the evolution of the candidates and shifting policies. We're not talking about Kamala Harris as a senator. We're not talking about Kamala Harris as a vice president. We're talking about President Kamala Harris. It's a whole different ballgame. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden might be from the same party, but they're very different when it comes to everything. She's a lot more pro cryptocurrency, right? I think it's hilarious that Donald Trump a couple of days ago said that he wanted to invite Elon Musk to have an agency to audit the government. I think Elon Musk should audit Donald Trump because he's bankrupt quite a few companies. Look, I think that the American people are tired of the same old politics of the past. They were tired of Joe Biden, and they're tired of Donald Trump. They want somebody new, and I think that change they're looking for is going to be Kamala Harris.
All right, Kellyanne, you mentioned fairness. I'm going to try to be fair. I'm going to try to be fair. I've got one more question each for you. I got to fit it in 2 minutes. So, Kellyanne, notwithstanding the fact that women voters care about a lot of issues, there is a ballot amendment in Florida that uses the word viability. If Donald Trump is asked on Tuesday night his definition of viability, what do you think he will say?
Well, I've discussed this with him directly, and I think he's going to say what he's always said. First of all, he broke no news. I don't know why everybody was clutching their pearls and agitated on both sides. He has long said 6 weeks is too early, in his view, and that anything after 20 weeks is too late. He signed in October 2017, Trey, a presidential statement through OMB saying as much. And so viability is past that. It's 24 weeks or so. But there's also an escape clause in the Florida amendment, like there is in Michigan, that you can get a note from a medical professional to allow you to get abortion long past viability. But look, here's the point. I think if President Trump said to Kamala Harris, you're at 39 weeks, you and your party are for up until the moment of birth, including in California. It's very liberal, permissive policy. There are babies being born in Kamala Harris's California, in your South Carolina at 23, 24, 25 weeks. They are surviving and thriving. Let's have a science conversation about viability. Thank God medical and health interventions, scientific interventions now mean these babies are living. So he could talk about that too, but she's the radical on abortion anyone, anytime, anywhere, no restrictions, no regulations. That's not where most Americans and most American women are.
All right, Jose, I'm going to give you one more question, even though I'm over time. Kamala Harris voted against banning partial birth abortion. Very few Americans support that practice. So where are her limits when it comes to abortion? When does life and due process begin, according to her?
Well, look, there's no question, and she's talked about the whole issue with some liberals in New York. I know Republicans love to remind people, no, Democrats want to make sure that Democrats want women to get abortion until 9 months. That's not true. It's only till the first trimester. Most Democrats and most Americans would agree it's maybe 8 or 12 weeks, if that. It's not, Kelly, you know that's not true. There's a few Democrats in New York.
What's the law? I'm sorry, I can't have you lie when I'm sitting on the set. What is the law in California and New York? You got it. Do you know what the law is in California, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, and Colorado? It is not 8 or 12 weeks, sir.
If Fox gives me a 2-hour show, we will keep going. But right now, it's just 1 hour. Thank you both for joining us on a Sunday night, and I would love to have you both back.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.